1 2. Mic check. 1 2.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to give the people outside about 2 minutes just to come inside and sit down before we get started. Good morning again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, fellow shareholders. I'm Ivan Anderson, and I've been asked by the board to lead and chair today's meeting. It's a pleasure to welcome you to the 6th annual general meeting of TransJamaican Highways Limited since your company was listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Today, we take great pride in reporting another year of robust performance, continued transformation, and value creation for you, our over 40,000 Jamaican shareholders. We continue to have this year's AGM in a hybrid format to allow for greater participation of our shareholders, both remotely and in person. I would therefore like to especially acknowledge our shareholders, invitees, and directors who are participating online as well. Please be advised that the meeting is being recorded. And please allow me now time to introduce to you members of the board of directors who have guided the company through these momentous changes and are present today. Mr. Charles Pardy, our chairman, Mrs. Julie Thompson-James, Mr. John Bell, Mr. Alok Jan, Mr. Ian Dare, Mr. Stephen Gooden, Mr. Stephen Edwards, Mr. Nicholas Scott, and Mrs. Suzanne Brown, our company secretary. Members of our management team are also present with us today. Suzanne Brown is also our Chief Financial Officer. Colin Murray is our Chief Operations Officer and Managing Director of GIO. Mr. Melbourne Lincook, Manager of Quality and Maintenance Engineering. And I'm Ivan Anderson, as I mentioned earlier. We also have with us members of the management team and staff of the GIO, our subsidiary, in the audience as well. Before we get started, I'd like to invite Ms. Kimiko Gay Campbell to offer a word of prayer. Kimmy?
Good morning, everyone. As with all things, we put God first. So I ask you to bow your heads with me in prayer. Heavenly Father, as we come to you this morning, we thank you for another day. Thank you for affording us the opportunity to gather once again for the annual general meeting of TransJamaican Highway. Thank you for the dedication, vision, and resilience of all persons who contributed to getting us this far. Lord, I thank you for all us who have gathered here, those online, and as we pray for the safety of those who are on their way. As we go through these proceedings, we invite your presence. We pray that these events unfold decently, in order, and according to your will. Thank you as we pray in your Son's name. Amen.
Thank you, Kimmy. I've been advised by the company secretary, Mrs. Suzanne Brown, that in accordance with the company's Articles of Association, a quorum is present. The quorum requirement is 3 shareholders present in person or by proxy shall be a quorum. I now declare the annual general meeting open and duly constituted. I've also been advised by the company secretary, Mrs. Brown, that Director Ian Deere and Director Julie Thompson James have sent their apologies for absence. We anticipate that Director Edwards will be here shortly. Partner of EY, the company's external auditors, Ms. Rochelle Stevenson, is also present. The Jamaica Central Securities Depository, our registrar and transfer agent, is also present, and they are represented by Ms. Tiffany Hall, Ms. Sashita Mannings, and Mr. Dane Beavers. I would now like to introduce the chairman of the board of TG8, Mr. Charles Parady, who has guided TG8 since its inception more than 20 years ago, to give his opening remarks.
Dear shareholders, dear friends, welcome to our annual general meeting. It is with great pride that I present the 2024 annual report for TransJamaican Highway Limited, a year that has been nothing short of exceptional for our company. Our commitment to operational excellence, financial prudence, and strategic growth has yielded record-breaking achievements, positioning us as a leader in Jamaican infrastructure landscape. Our financial performance has been remarkable, with a 31% increase in net profits from $24 million to more than $31 million. Revenue has also reached a record of almost $83 million, evidencing the strength of our operations and the growing reliance on our toll network. You certainly have noticed that we were honored as the best performing company by the Jamaica Stock Exchange, a recognition that underscores the confidence of our shareholders and other stakeholders. We have continued to fortify our financial resilience, ensuring that all our reserve accounts are fully funded. Our debt service coverage ratio for the year reached a level of 3 times our debt service obligations, a level never reached before. Our continued financial strength has led Standard & Poor's Global Ratings to revise the outlook on our notes to positive from stable and confirm a BB- rating. As we insist on continuous development, we have embarked on several key infrastructure projects. Work is already in progress on the construction of new interchange ramps at Freetown, which will enhance accessibility and connectivity for commuters. Simultaneously, we have commenced the widening of the Vineyards Toll Plaza to improve capacity and efficiency. Furthermore, the development of a new gas station by Rubis on the causeway is well underway, adding an important convenience for motorists utilizing our network. Looking ahead, we anticipate finalizing our agreement with the National Road Operating and Construction Company, NROC, for the rights to operate the next phase of the highway from May Pen to Williamsfield. We call it Phase 1C. This expansion represents a significant step forward to enhance this remarkable infrastructure. None of these accomplishments would have been possible without the full dedication and high expertise of our team. I extend my deepest gratitude to our employees, management, board of directors, and stakeholders whose efforts have propelled TransJam Highways to new performance levels. As we look forward to the future, we remain committed to delivering value, fostering innovation, and maintaining our position as the premier toll road operator in Jamaica. Thank you for your continued support and trust in TransJamaican Highway Limited.
Thank you, Chairman, for those opening remarks. With this live viewing, we want to provide all our shareholders with the opportunity to be able to hear and see the proceedings of the meeting. We take this opportunity to remind shareholders who are with us online that, as stated in the notice provided for this meeting, that questions may be asked by emailing tjh@transjamhighways.com. That's tjh@transjamhighways.com. We'll dedicate 30 minutes for a question and answer session later in the meeting. Please also note that questions that are not answered during the meeting will be responded to subsequently. The notice of the meeting and the form of proxy were dispatched to all shareholders on record as at April 30th, 2025, in accordance with the company's articles of incorporation. If there is no objection, I propose that the notice of the meeting be taken as read. May I have a mover for this resolution? My name? Mr. Donald Gordon. Do I have a seconder? Mr. Bloomfield. Thank you, Mr. Bloomfield. All in favor of this resolution, say aye. The motion is carried. The purpose of this AGM is to seek the approval of shareholders for the respective resolutions outlined in the notice. The resolutions are duly set out in the notice of the annual general meeting dated the 28th of April 2025 and duly signed by the company secretary. The first item of ordinary business is the adoption of the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024, together with the reports of the directors and auditors thereon. Second item is to ratify the interim dividend payments and to declare them final. Third item is to elect directors. The fourth item is to approve the remuneration of the directors. The fifth item is the appointment of the auditors Ernst & Young, and that the board be allowed to fix the auditor's remuneration. And the sixth item of business is to amend the articles of incorporation by special resolution. We will now conduct the business of the meeting as set forth in the notice. In order to conduct an orderly meeting and give all eligible shareholders an opportunity to participate, we'll follow the procedures as mentioned earlier. Questions and comments from the floor should be pertain to the items on the notice. I ask that persons in attendance wishing to speak to raise their hand, and you'll be provided with the microphone, where you will state your name and status as a shareholder for the minutes. Please note that only shareholders or their duly appointed proxies are allowed to move and second motions and to vote on resolutions. In accordance with Article 179 of the Company's Articles of Incorporation, the company is obliged to lay before this meeting the audited financial statements together with the reports of the directors and auditors, which are contained in the company's annual report for the year ending December 31st, 2024. I will now ask Ms. Rochelle Stevenson from EY to read the auditor's report.
Good morning, everyone. I invite you to turn to page 73 of the annual report. Independent Auditor's Report to the members of TransJamaican Highway Limited. Report on the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Opinion. We have audited the consolidated financial statements of TransJamaican Highway Limited and its subsidiaries, the group, and the separate financial statements of TransJamaican Highway Limited, the company, which comprise the company's and the group's statements of financial position as at December 31, 2024, the statements of comprehensive income, changes of equity, and cash flows for the year then ended, and notes including material accounting policy information. In our opinion, the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the group and the company as at December 31, 2024, and the consolidated and separate financial performance and cash flows for the year then ended in accordance with IFRS accounting standards and the Jamaican Companies Act. Basis for our opinion: we conducted an audit in accordance with International Standards on Auditing, ISAs. All responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements section of our report. We are independent of the group and the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants, IESPA, International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standards, IESPA Code, and we have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESPA Code. We believe the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Key audit matters. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements of the current period. These matters were addressed in the context of our audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements as a whole, and informing our opinion thereon, we do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. For each matter below, our description of how our audit addressed the matter is provided in that context. We have fulfilled the responsibilities described in the auditor's responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements section of our report, including in relation to these matters. Accordingly, our audit included the performance of procedures designed to respond to our assessment of the risks of material misstatement of the consolidated and separate financial statements. The results of our audit procedures, including the procedures performed to address the matters below, provide the basis for our audit opinion on the accompanying consolidated and separate financial statements. Key audit matter: intangible assets relating to service concession agreements, IFRIC 12, and related impairment assessment. Intangible assets amounted to 183.65 million as of December 31, 2024, and accounted for 66% of the total non-current assets for the group. As discussed in Note 4, amortization is charged as to write off the cost of intangible assets over the period of concession using a projection of traffic on the highway over this period. The projection is based on various estimates and assumptions surrounding, among other things, macroeconomic variables and toll road traffic demand. These assumptions can vary in practice, and the actual outcome depends on such factors as population growth and the development of other sections of the highway. The policy of the Board of Directors and Management is to update the forecast periodically based on the actual traffic. The most recent update was completed in July 2024 by STAIR, an external consultant from the United Kingdom. At the end of each reporting period, management performs an impairment assessment on the intangible assets which are within the scope of IFRIC 12. The assessment involves a comparison between the carrying amount and the recoverable amount, being the higher fair value less cost of sales and the value in use. How our audit addressed the key audit matter. As part of our audit procedures, we have obtained an understanding and evaluated the design and implementation of the group's internal control over processes related to intangible assets, verified the reconciliation of the subledger to the general ledger values, verified the completeness of the actual traffic data, and recalculated amortization charges for the year, placed reliance on the external consultant's traffic projection report over the concession period, and therefore assess the external consultant's qualification, that is, professional certification, members in an appropriate professional body, experience and reputation in the field. We have also assessed the external consultant's independence, objectivity, and with the assistance of EY specialists, evaluated the work performed, including reviewing the assumptions and inputs used in the report in accordance with ISO 620, using the work of an expert. Examine the method adopted by management to identify and assess possible indicators of impairment of the intangible assets with the assistance of EY specialists. Re-perform the impairment assessment and assess the accuracy and completeness of disclosures presented in the consolidated financial statements. Other information included in the group's annual report. Other information consists of the information included in the group's annual report other than the consolidated and separate financial statements and or auditor's report thereon. Management is responsible for the other information. The group's annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of this auditor's report. Our opinion on the consolidated and separate financial statements does not cover the other information, and we will not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. In connection with our audit of consolidated and separate financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information identified above when it becomes available, and in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the consolidated and separate financial statements or knowledge obtained in the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. Responsibilities of management and those charged with governance for the consolidated and separate financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation of the consolidated and separate financial statements that give a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS accounting standards and the Jamaican Companies Act, and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of the financial statement, the consolidated and separate financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. in preparing consolidated and separate financial statements. Management is responsible for assessing the group's and company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters related to going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the group and the company or to cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Those charged with governance is responsible for overseeing the group's and the company's financial reporting process. Auditors' responsibilities for the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the consolidated and separate financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with ISAs will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if, individually or in the aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of the users taken on the basis of these consolidated and separate financial statements. As part of our audit in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatement of the consolidated and separate financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentations, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the company's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting and, based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention to our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the consolidated and separate financial statements, or if those such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of the auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the consolidated and separate financial statements, including the disclosures, and whether the consolidated and separate financial statements represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that presents a true and fair view. Plan and perform the group audit to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence regarding the financial information of the entities or business units within the group as a basis for forming an opinion on the consolidated financial statements. We are responsible for the direction, supervision, and review of the audit work performed for the purposes of the group audit. We remain solely responsible for our audit opinion. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, among other things, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal control that we identified during our audit. We also provide those charged with governance with a statement that we have complied with relevant ethical requirements regarding independence, and to communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear on our independence and, where applicable, related safeguards. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, we determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the consolidated and separate financial statements of the current period and are therefore the key audit matters. We describe these matters in the auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter, or when, in extremely rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should not be communicated in the report because the adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefits of such communication. Report on the additional matters as required by the Jamaican Companies Act. We have obtained all the information and explanations which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for the purposes of our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been maintained so far as appears from our examination of those records, and the consolidated and separate financial statements, which are in agreement therewith, give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner required. The engagement partner on the audit resulted in this independent auditor's report is Rochelle Stevenson, Ernst & Young, Chartered Accountant, Kingston, Jamaica, 3rd March 2025. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Rochelle. Seem to have lost the technology for a minute. Yeah, but nothing like paper, eh? Mrs. Brown and I will now present the director's report. All right, so what we'll present today is looking at 4 main areas of the director's report. Looking at overall results, looking at the trends per plaza, looking at the operating expenses, how we compare with what we had promised you in 2020 when we did the IPO. We'll talk a little bit about the strategic initiatives that we have adopted. And finally, Suzanne will talk a little bit more in terms of the details of the auditor's report. So in terms of the top line numbers, the chairman talked about the top line numbers already. Net profits for 2024 have actually increased by approximately 30%. 30% in excess of what they were last year. Thank you. But not only last year, but when you look at what has happened over the past 5 years, the profits have risen by more than 700% from what they were in 2021. You recall in 2021, our profits were approximately $4 million US. Today, they are approximately 31 million US dollars. Significant improvement in the profitability of the company. But not only have the profits increased, but the revenues have also been increased. Between last year and this year, our revenues have gone up by approximately 10%, significantly more than our revenues in 2021, which was 52 million, and in 2020, which was 45 million. In fact, our revenues are now 30% higher than they were in 2019. The pre-pandemic, before we had the pandemic. Not only have our profits increased, but our operating expenses have actually declined. So you recall in 2022, we significantly restructured the operations of TransJamaica when we acquired GIO and reorganized our whole operations. From 2022 to 2023, our operating expenses declined by almost 47% to where they are today. In fact, not just from the restructuring, but you'll notice that our operating expenses this year are actually lower than they were last year. We often talk about how do we compare with international companies. And throughout all of our AGMs, we have talked about benchmarking. How do we compare with international firms which are operating concessions worldwide? As you can see, in 2023, we were approximately 20% below the international average for the cost to collect tolls per transaction. So large toll road operations measure their costs in terms of, for every transaction that you do, how much does it cost you to collect that toll? And so today we are about still about 20% lower than the international average in terms of cost to collect tolls per transaction. So one is to measure the cost per transaction, but the other is also to measure the cost to collect per dollar of revenues that you generate. How much of each dollar goes towards the operating expenses of the company? And again, here we are approximately 36% below where international firms are in terms of the cost to collect tolls per transaction, per dollar. In terms of the trends, what can we see from the individual plazas and what is happening in each plaza? Let's first look at Portmore Toll Plaza. So Portmore, our traffic is up by approximately 1.2%, but our revenues are actually up by about 3.7%. And at Portmore, we have approximately 13 million vehicles that use the highway every year. Portmore is a little different from our other toll road operations. And we have 10 years ago or 15 years ago, Portmore was strictly a dormitory community. There was no Price Mart in Portmore. There was no Mega Mart in Portmore. And so a lot of the people who lived in Portmore traveled every day to Kingston to do their normal business. Today, Portmore is a lot more self-contained in its operation. But notwithstanding, we continue to see improvements in the Portmore traffic and obviously improvements in Portmore revenues. Spanish Town has been a big mover for us. The traffic at Spanish Town has grown by 15%. And for anybody who has traveled on the Spanish Town bypass recently, you know why. Spanish Town bypass is typically gridlock throughout the day. And so with that 15% increase in traffic through Spanish Town, we've seen an 18% increase in revenues from Spanish Town Toll Plaza, equivalent to about $6 million of revenues. So for us, the two big plazas in terms of revenues is Portmore, Vineyards. So Vineyards is our next largest plaza in terms of revenues. So in fact, when we looked at Portmore, Portmore is approximately 35 million in terms of revenues, but Vineyards over the past 15 years has gradually grown in terms of traffic and revenues. So Vineyards today is about $32 million of revenues. So Vineyards and Portmore are almost the same in terms of revenues for TransJamaica. And again, traffic at Vineyards has grown by approximately 7.6%, with revenues growing by approximately 14%. Our final plaza is Maypen. This is our newest kid on the block. Maypen has revenues of about 9.8 million, with traffic growing by about 8% and revenues growing by approximately 17%. And again, what we've seen over the past, since about 2012 when we opened Vineyard, is a gradual increase in traffic through Maypen, making it a much more important plaza over the years. In terms of key traffic figures over the past 5 years, as I mentioned, total traffic on the highway last year was approximately 28.6 million. That's the highest ever traffic that has used the highway. Last year it was 27 million. In 2022 it was 25 million. In 2021 it was 22 million. And in 2020 approximately 20.6 million. But how do we continue to increase traffic without increasing congestion? We have to get more people out of the manual lanes and into the tag lanes. And over the past year, we have grown our tag usage by almost 30%, by 28%. In fact, today, approximately 1.1 million trips are done per month using tags. And so the more people that use tags, less people that use manual lanes, the more throughput we have through the toll plazas. So by growing the tag usage, we have been able to reduce the congestion in the toll plazas. So for any of you who drive through Portmore, for example, 10 years ago, Portmore used to be congested. But now if you have a tag, there is total free movement through Portmore, whether in morning peaks or in evening peaks. And we'll talk a little later about other improvements that we have done. How do we compare with our IPO forecast? A lot of you would have been here with us since 2020 when we put out our first prospectus about what we would be able to achieve as a company. Today, let's look at where we thought we were, or where we thought we would have been in 2020, and where we actually are today. So in 2020, when we did our prospectus, when we sold the shares to the public, we thought that we would have had revenues approximately 70 million US per annum by 2024. Today, we are at over 80 million US. In terms of traffic, we thought we would have had approximately 24 million vehicles per year. We have approximately 26 million vehicles per year. So in terms of our IPO forecast, we're doing much better than we told you we would have done in 2020, despite COVID in 2020, 2021. But we can't continue to deliver these results without ensuring that our highway continues to be in good condition. We can't wait until the road is in disrepair before we patch potholes, before we repave the road. And so last year, we did more than $300 million, Jamaican dollars that is, in terms of repaving, sealing our cracks. So last year we did about 96,000 square meters of overlay. We did about 6,000 linear meters of crack sealing. So what we do, every time we see a little opening, a little crack developing, we seal it. And what does that do? Prevents the potholes from forming. And so we stay on top of it. And so last year, as I said, we did about 96,000 square meters of overlay. We did about 6,000 meters of crack sealing. And we obviously did a lot of remarking, restriping, replacing the raised pavement markers, and upgrading our toll system. But let's look at some of the strategic initiatives that we have also done. Last year, we showed you what our customers thought about us. What were the areas that they wanted us to improve. So we do this survey every 2 years. So we're due for another survey, in fact, in this year. At that time, the overall favorable opinion of TJH was approximately 81%, the highest it has been over the past few years, with 43% excellent and 38% good. But what do our customers want us to do to improve our service? Last year we told you that it wasn't tolls anymore. The past few years, the number one thing that customers asked us to do was lower tolls. But in this last survey that we did in 2023, what they asked for was a rest stop with a gas station. That was the first thing customers thought we needed to improve. And so we did that. And in fact, in the summer of this year, Rubis will open their new gas station, convenience store, and quick serve restaurant in Portmore. I say summer, but they tell me that they're actually opening at the end of July. I'm a little conservative here. This is an actual picture of the current status of the gas station. The pumps are installed, signs are there, building is in place, just to put in the prices and get going. Our customers also wanted us to improve our whole operation, make us more efficient. And so we've been on this path of improving the efficiency of our operations. The first thing our customers wanted us to do is to get out of this business of coming out of the vehicle, going into the office to get a tag. That didn't make no sense. Customers wanted to be able to get a tag easily. They didn't want to have to give their eye color, their blood type, in order to get a tag. And so we said, okay, let's modify the toll operation. So what we did is every tag lane we then made into a lane which could recognize vehicles. Because up to then, the tag lanes didn't recognize the actual vehicle. What they recognized was the tag on the vehicle. So if you got a tag for a Class 1 vehicle and put it on a Class 3 vehicle and a truck, what would happen? It would think you're a truck. And so we modified all the technology in the existing lanes so that the systems in the lane could recognize the vehicle itself. So that then meant you don't have to come out of your vehicle to go anywhere, to ask anybody anything, to tell them about what kind of vehicle you have. You can just ask the toll collector for a tag, and they give you a tag and you're off. In fact, even in SunPass in Miami, in Florida, to get a SunPass, you have to go online and you have to create an account and you have to give them your license plate. For us, none of that. You want a tag? Here's a tag, and you're off. Customers also wanted the convenience of a mobile app. And not just any mobile app, but a mobile app that can virtually think for itself. So, you know, you have an app, and when you remember, you top it up. But oftentimes you forget to top it up. So customers wanted an app that whenever it dropped to a particular threshold, so I do have to remember it. Whenever it gets to $500, for example, it will top up by itself with an amount that you pre-select. So you set, I want to top up with $1,000 every time it gets to $500. And it does that without interruption. Or you can set it up to top up, you know, every week you want to put $1,000 on it. You can do that as well. Plus it gives you all the information about the operation, about your passages through the toll road, and about the discounts that you get when using the toll road. But also customers wanted many different ways to top up. So you have the app, but we have now partnered with Interlink through Go Top Up, where we have more than 800 locations throughout the country. Every gas station, every supermarket, everywhere you see one of those Go Top Up point-of-sale machines, you can top up your T-Tag at those places. And everybody knows about WhatsApp. Everybody have a WhatsApp account. So we have also now implemented WhatsApp top-up. Again, you don't have to have an account with us. You don't have to know anybody. You don't have to go anywhere. Just go on to WhatsApp, enter the number, say hello, and the app prompts you all the way through to top up your account. 876-355-3336. I don't see anybody writing. Everybody have the number already. Okay, all right. So we have multiple ways to top up. And in fact, we now have a new deal with Bill Express, where within the next few weeks, we'll be able to top up through the Bill Express platform as well. So there is no excuse now to top up. We also improved the tag lane experience. One of the things that we saw was as you increase the number of tags that people use, guess what? People need to know what the balance is, because a lot of people still don't use the tag, don't use the app. And so we introduced in the lane itself communication with the user. So for every one of you who uses the highway, and I'm sure a lot of you do, whenever you go through, on the screen itself, it will tell you what your balance is. No need to call us, although we still get calls, about what is my balance. We've also boosted the physical capacity at all our toll plazas. And we did this two ways. I don't know if you can see in this picture, but in the top picture, it is actually in the bottom picture. In the bottom picture, you can't see the X's, but there are actually X's at that location where you see that car coming out. So people often say, why you close all these lanes? Why are these X's up there? But the X's don't mean that the lane is closed. It means that there's traffic coming from the other direction. We've made the lanes reversible. So in the morning when we have lots of traffic coming into Kingston, for example, we have 15 lanes going in one direction, coming into Kingston at Portmore. We have 21 lanes and we have 15 lanes coming in. And in the evening, we have vice versa. 15 lanes coming out of Kingston. And that allows us to increase the capacity of the toll plazas without actually adding new lanes. And we have done this at Portmore, and we have done this at Spanish Town. So again, at Spanish Town, you have 5 lanes going over in the evening and 5 lanes coming out in the morning. And at Vineyards, as you all know, we not only added reversible lane capacity, but we added new lane capacity. We added 1 new lane at Vineyards. Anybody use vineyards often or recently? So right now we actually have 6 lanes. So in the evening peaks going west, we have 6 lanes at vineyards, 4 manual lanes and 2 tag lanes. And similarly, in the morning coming east, we have 4 manual lanes and 2 tag lanes. And that has allowed us to increase the capacity of the plazas. Everybody also knows that we started accepting credit cards. Up until December 2023, people said it's not going to work. It's going to take too long. We're going to block up the lanes. We introduced it as a pilot in 2023 in December. And by April, we had it in all our plazas. Because there's a slight additional, just a few seconds more in terms of time. But guess what? Most people don't use it to top up. Most people don't use it to pay the passage. Most people use credit cards to top up their account. And obviously once you top up, you don't have to come back again. So again, it improves the ease of passage, increases the number of people who use the tag, and as you saw from that graph, increases our throughput through the toll plazas. Other opportunities that we've been working on over the years. Freetown ramps. The chairman mentioned that we had started them, but we have actually completed them. So the Freetown ramps are completed, finished and opened and in operation. And the Freetown ramps are expected to increase the traffic through Maypen by approximately 6%. So we expect to see a bump up in that Maypen traffic and obviously a bump up in that Maypen revenues. We also mentioned the increase in capacity of vineyards itself by the addition of the new lanes. So we expect that vineyards will also have an increased capacity by approximately 20%. Phase 1C, it's been a little while in coming, but we think it's closer than it has ever been. We had an accident, or there was an accident with one of the toll booths earlier this year, which damaged some of the equipment. And so NROC has asked us to repair the toll booth, repair the equipment, which is in the toll booth, replace some of the devices. And so we're implementing that over the next few weeks. Hopefully by the end of August, that will be completed. And therefore we're expecting to be able to, with NROC's blessing, to start tolling somewhere in the 3rd or the 4th quarter of this year. As we've discussed previously, Phase 1C is expected to add approximately 9.5 million US to our top line in terms of TGH's revenues. So our revenues are expected to increase by approximately 11% as a result of the addition of Phase 1C. We've also gotten the approval now for the implementation of new ramps. Remember last year we talked about the possibility of adding new ramps at Heartlands Road. So, you know, when you're driving along Old Harbour Road, going west from Old Harbour Road roundabout, Heartlands Road is the road that goes into Jacaranda, Whitewater. Anybody who lives in Spanish Town know that area? So Heartlands Road allows you to connect directly from Old Harbour Road. So you know where that new development on the hillside is, where Silver Sun is on the hillside, that new NHT development. And no longer you have to go all the way down to the roundabout at Old Harbour Road, but you can jump on Heartlands Road and then access the highway. No longer you have to drive through the traffic on Old Harbour Road to get to Jacaranda, Whitewater, or Silver Sun. That has also been approved, and so hopefully by next year we'll have completed that project as well. So coming soon, we've been asked about real-time updating. You know, right now when you top up your T-tag, it takes a little time. There's a little lag between when you top up your T-tag and when it appears on your account. So we are now implementing almost real-time updating. We had expected to have it completed today, but my IT people tell me hopefully by next week it should be finished. So no longer you'll have to wait the 2 hours, but 5 to 10 minutes, and the app will be updated. So whether you're using WhatsApp, whether you're using Go Top Up, whether you're using web, we'll have almost real-time updating of the toll operation. We're also continuing to work on what we call tap and go. So right now we have a big team trying to figure out how this can work. So we have an NCB team, we have a MasterCard team, along with our toll integrator working on what we call tap and go. So as you know, as we talked about, right now when you go up to the toll plaza, the toll collector enters the amount of the toll in the machine. She then hands it to you, and you then tap or insert your card. If the authorization is done, she takes it back, and she presses a button to open the barrier. But what we're implementing is what we call tap and go. So the toll system will communicate with the point of sale machine. So when you drive up to the toll plaza, the toll system will tell the point of sale machine how much the toll is. The customer will simply tap on the toll on the point of sale machine. Point of sale machine will go away, get its authorization to come back. The authorization will then be sent back to the toll plaza and the barrier open. So almost no intervention from the toll collector. Simply tap and go. And so right now, as I said, we're testing the application. We've done the testing actually in France already, where our toll integrator is. And we're going to commence testing, what we call user acceptance testing in Jamaica come the end of August. We also have our new e-store coming online shortly, making it easy to get a tag. Nobody should have a problem getting a tag from us. So if you don't want to drive through the toll plaza and pick up the tag from the toll collector, you have to go onto our e-store, order a tag, and have it delivered to you. And we have a number of new types of tags that we'll also be offering. You know, for those of you who drive the BMWs and the Porsches and the Land Rovers, are talking to anybody here? Oh, all right, right. Some of those screens have a metallic protection in them, which prevents certain wavelengths from passing through the screen. So it creates a little issue in detecting the tag. So we have some new, what we call license plate tags that can be mounted on the license plate, and we'll get out of that issue. They'll be costing a little more, but we'll have them online, plus a number of other new features that we're offering. Finally, I'd like to introduce you to TJ. TJ is one of our newest members of staff. We've been training her, but I don't know how you know, it's taking a little, her head is tough a little bit, but she's coming, she's coming. Let's see if TJ can help us.
Jam Highways AI assistant, how can I assist you today?
Hi TJ, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you for asking. I'm here to help you with any questions about TransJam Highways or the T-tag. How may I assist you today?
TJ, how do I get a tag?
You can get a T-tag conveniently through the manual lane at any TransJam Highways toll plaza by asking the toll collector. Alternatively, you may visit the nearest sales office and open your T-tag account with a minimum of 2,500 Jamaican dollars, which includes a T-tag sticker, swipe card, and $500 opening credit. Would you like more details about the process or the benefits of having a T-tag?
No thanks, TJ. How much is the toll at Spanish Town?
At the Spanish Town Plaza, the toll rates are as follows. For Class 1 vehicles, it is $260 with a T-tag or $270 without a T-tag. For Class 2 vehicles, it is $440 with a T-tag or $470 without a T-tag. For Class 3 vehicles, it is $800, whether you use a T-tag or not. If you need help determining your vehicle class or have other questions, please let me know. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes, TJ, what's the balance on my account?
Would you like to view the balance of your saved card ending in 8463, or do you want to check the balance for a new card? If it is a new card, please enter the 16 digits of the card on the keypad ending with the hash key. Let me know how you would like to proceed.
The saved card, TJ. The balance on the saved card, TJ.
Just wait for a moment while I get you the balance of your card ending in 8463.
TJ?
Yes? How can I assist you further? Would you like me to check the balance on your saved card ending in 8463, or is there something else you need help with regarding TransJam Highways or your T-tag?
What's the balance on the saved card, TJ?
Just wait for a moment while I get you the balance of your card ending in 8463.
All right, thank you, TJ.
Thank you for contacting TransJam Highways. If you need further assistance in the future, please reach out again.
Right, so TJ is a little slow sometimes, but the idea, everybody can appreciate what the idea is. So lots of people call, they want to know their balance. Lots of people call, you have a breakdown on the highway, you need some help. Lots of people need to know, how to top up their card. And so hopefully, within the next few weeks, TJ will be a member of our staff. Thank you very much. Let me hand over now to Suzanne.
Thank you, Ivan. Good morning again, everybody. It's a pleasure to see you all here again for another year. I hope you're having a fantastic year as TJS is having. All right, so let me click first there, Ivan. So Ivan has gone through, as usual. Ivan is very comprehensive, and makes my job so much easier. So I'm just going to run through a little bit more detail into our 2024 results, and also share some highlights of the first quarter of 2025. All right, so we begin by looking at our performance for last year in terms of net profit. Sir Ivan has already shared, we did quite well for 2024. Profits were up 31%, or 7.4 million over year on year. And this continued growth in profits was aided by the following. So revenue, as we're seeing here, 82.8 million, and it was up 10% over the prior year, which was 75.2 million. This was driven by continued growth in toll collections from strong traffic volumes and effective operational management, as seen above in Mr. Anderson's presentation. In terms of our operating expenses, our OPEX decreased by 1.4 million when we compare to the 22.4 million incurred for the prior year. While we experienced some areas
that are either outside of factors controlled by the project, such as higher insurance or security cost, or those that are associated with some of the customer-focused improvements that we are making across the project, such as bank charges. We also saw a reduction in some cost areas as we had a lowering of repairs and maintenance spend, and this resulted from the team's consistent upkeep and preventative maintenance strategies. So, I extend congratulations to our team. There was also low amortization charge for the intangible asset, and by now we know that the intangible asset represents our right, well, a writing down of the construction cost of the highway, and that's also a representation of our right to operate under the concession agreement. And this is resulting, the decrease that we saw last year was as a result of us doing an update of the forecast. So the last forecast was updated right in the middle of COVID, about 2021, and it was due for an update this year. So Sir Ivan showed you a picture of our operating costs for 5 years, but we have a picture here that with this picture excludes the amortization cost, and you can see that amortization of the intangible takes a good chunk of our expenses, and without that, for 2024, without OPEX, our operating costs were 7.1 million. In terms of admin cost, so on the other side, the admin costs increased by 14% year on year, and this was primarily due to the strategic salary adjustments that were made and onboarding of additional talent to support the operational enhancements mentioned by Mr. Anderson. Finance cost was 13.9 million, and this continues to reduce each year in keeping with the lowering of interest payments on the secured notes as the principal is being made on a quarterly basis. Finance cost for the previous year was 14.5 million. And in terms of taxation, in keeping with the increase in profitability, our corporate and deferred tax charges for the year were 10.7 million, and this is up from the 8.2 million recognized for the comparative period in 2023. Let's speak a little bit now about our balance sheet. So in terms of, I'll mention some of the strengths of the balance sheet of the TransJam group. And in terms of asset base, we were at 294 million, as seen from the graph. And this, over the years, were the three main categories for our asset base are our intangible asset, which is 184 million. And this is, as I said, the right to our rights, represents our rights under the concession agreement. Total cash, last year, we closed with total cash of 96 million. Of this 96 million, 82 million was classified as restricted cash. And that is funds held in the reserve accounts for the repayment of the secured notes, major maintenance, and to cover operational costs in the event of anything. So we maintain approximately 6 months of operational costs in reserve as well. Deferred tax asset, this was 10 million last year, and this is recognized for the unused tax losses which were accumulated between, I'd say, from the time we operated up to 2016, we had some accumulated losses, and so each year now, as we are now in a profitable state, there's a writing down of that asset, hence why you see it will be falling year on year. Last year, deferred tax asset was 15 million, so we've utilized 5 million of the asset for 2024. And while we speak about assets, I also want to point out that our liabilities continue to be reduced. Last year, liabilities went down by 12 million, and that is as we continue to make payments on the secured notes each year. In terms of equity, our share capital remains 27 million, I'll point that out. In terms of accumulated profit, however, that rose to 38.3 million, and that was up from 22 million in 2003. And this resulted from profit of the 31 million mentioned above, which was earned between last year, 2023 and 2024, along with the 15 million distributed to shareholders in April and October of last year. Some cash flow highlights. So for the financial year 2024, we generated strong operating cash flow of 43.9 million, and this underscores the strength of our core operations. Notably, our debt service coverage ratio stood at a solid 3.04 times, significantly exceeding the required threshold and reflecting our continued financial resilience and disciplined capital management. So I'll just give a little bit about our Q1 financials. So Q1 is already showing promising results and is consistent with the trends seen for financial year 2024. So net profit for the first quarter reached 9.1 million, representing a strong 32% increase over the same comparative quarter last year. And this was underpinned by sustained revenue growth, which rose to 22.5 million for the first quarter, or 14%. And also, I want to just point out that our continued profitability also reflects a disciplined cost management structure. Despite inflationary pressures and slightly higher costs associated with delivering great value to you, our shareholders, and other stakeholders, operating and admin expenses were well contained. This further demonstrates our commitment to operational efficiency and financial stewardship. In terms of asset base, total assets grew to 301 million, or 12.4% year to date. And this is driven by an increase in restricted cash and trade payables. For liabilities, that also continues to be reduced as finance costs declined 6% year on year due to the continued debt repayment, as we spoke about before. Accumulated profit for the first quarter was very comparable. It was approximately 38 million, and is comparable to what we closed December last year with. And this is despite the 10 million in dividend declared in March and was paid in April. And I know everybody in here has mandates, banking mandates, and would have already received their dividends. Nobody's still not using checks, so you don't know where the check is, or you don't see the check all now? All right. All right. I also want to take this opportunity to mention, because I know it will come in the question. So the last two AGMs, there was a concern raised about the shareholders who purchased in USD and would like to receive their dividends in USD. And so we promised to have dialogue with the JCSD to see how this could be accommodated, because there was some issue in how the registers were initially set up that we could not overcome. However, those discussions, I think, has finally led to a little bit of light, and you may have seen a publication in the newspaper this Sunday, which gives a workaround to having the dividends paid in US dollars, where you're asked to contact the JCSD and to let them know, and to also supply your banking mandates for the US accounts. Because I think most of the accounts we have now, or all the accounts, are Jamaican dollar. So if you need to have your shares paid, your dividends paid in US, please, the JCSD has a table outside. You can take the opportunity to, make an initial contact with them. But we have found a solution, and I implore you to just work with us with that solution. All right? I can't go without proudly mentioning, we want to speak a little bit about the performance, without proudly mentioning that our stock performance, which was recognized best performing stock, awarded at the Jamaica Stock Exchange Best Practice Awards last December, What a moment that was. We're incredibly grateful to all our stakeholders, especially you, our valued shareholders, and to our hardworking and dedicated team. This recognition is a testament to the trust, belief, and teamwork that continue to drive us forward. Thank you for making us an important part of your Jamaica. Together we keep Jamaica moving. So our stock price, so last year, December, we closed at $4.50. The stock is currently up 53% over 2024. So I want to again thank you for the confidence you continue to place in TransJamaican Highway. All right. I'm going to hand over back to Mr. Anderson, who will just lead us through the question and answer session. Thank you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Before asking for the adoption of the audited financial statements, I now invite shareholders to comment or to ask questions on the audited financial statements, the director's report, or the auditor's report. Questions may be asked in relation to the conduct of the audit, the content of the audit report, and accounting policies adopted by the company. Please address all your questions to me, and I ask that you please state your name for the record prior to raising your questions or comments. Are there any questions or comments?
Robert Ma, Chair. Only audited report questions. I can't ask general questions.
No, certainly. General questions
Okay,
as well.
all right. I haven't been to Williamsfield in a long time. Is the toll booth, they're collecting tolls now?
No, so as we mentioned earlier, there was an accident in one of the toll booths which damaged the booth on the main line. And so we are in the process with NROC of having that repaired. Once we have that completed, then we expect, as I said earlier, that we will start tolling in the third or fourth quarter of this year.
Yeah, but that highway has been built a long time ago, several years now, and no toll collected, losing revenue.
All right, so as you know, it was constructed by NROC, not by
Right,
PG.
I know that.
Right.
But I mean, I know the vendors on the old roads are complaining, and it was in the newspaper that they're not collecting any, not getting any, because people driving free on the highway, and they are losing also, you know. So, how soon do you think we're going to start collecting?
So we'll be ready as soon as NROC says go.
Not a year, 2 years, what?
So the third or fourth quarter is what we expect of 2025.
5, so like September. No, because this is affecting our dividend payments and, you know, our revenue. And we are losing revenue as shareholders.
But we have no control.
Well, pressure NROC. Who is the problem? Elections. All right. Next stupid question that I've asked before, previous meetings, is that, I mean, I don't know if you have the statistics on North-South, I mean, compared to your vineyards or whatever. I travel North-South more than I go vineyards. So I'm sure there's more collections on North-South than, you have a big banking man over there. You guys can't arrange to buy North-South? Take it over. See a big banking man there now. Mr. Gooden, looking around. Is you we're talking about? You can't arrange some bond or something and take over North-South?
So there are some discussions taking place, but they are at a very preliminary stage.
Okay. All right. Enough for me.
Good morning.
Good
My
morning.
name is Akila Campbell, a prospective shareholder. So I have 2 questions. First question. Well, first I'd like to say congratulations on your 31% increase in profits.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell.
So with this increase, how do you plan on sustaining this going forward? Second question, regarding the 2024 T-Tag campaign, how do you plan on improving or sustaining this conversion rate? So improving it or sustaining it?
Go ahead. You have any other questions?
No, that's it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Campbell. So in order to continue to improve our performance, there are a number of areas that we're focusing on. Obviously, one is the efficiency of our operation, and we talked about what we're doing to get more people through the toll plaza, how we can increase the number of people who are using T-tags, how we can reduce the congestion. So improving the efficiency of our operation is a primary issue that we're working on. The second area is obviously opening up new people to utilize the highway. So as you know, this year we opened up Freetown. We opened up the ramps at Freetown, and we've talked about new ramps at Heartlands, which we plan to open up as well. And then thirdly is looking at other opportunities. So there are a number of other opportunities, both locally and globally, that we're looking at as well. So those are the strategies that we're adopting to continue to grow our revenues and our profits. In terms of the T-tag campaign, I don't know if you use our toll plazas, but one of the things that we have done now is we now have what we call Q-comers. Q-comers are people who actually walk down the queues and offer people tags to buy. And so last month we sold maybe about 3,000 tags through the Q-comers and through the toll plazas. We also have a number of blitzes that we do to encourage people to get their tags. We have, as you have seen, ads on radio and on TV. And right now we're up to about 52.5% in terms of our tag usage over the past 28 days. Our target is to get to, and I'm preempting one of the questions we have here, our target is to get to about 80% by 2028. And so this year our target is to get to about 60%.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Beverly Gustav, shareholder. First of all, let me say congratulations. You seem to have been doing well for yourselves. And that is appreciated. However, I'd like to ask a question. Let me say this before I ask the question. When I went to purchase my units, I didn't know about the first IPO, but I went to this last one here. And I was told I could not purchase more than a certain units. So all the money I had, and I went with, I had to go back home with more than half of it. I don't think that was fair. So I'm asking, is there a way that I could add more funds to my units? Can I purchase more units? Or do you plan to have an APO out soon?
Thank you, Ms. Gustav. So
thank you.
All the shares, there were approximately 20% of the shares still owned by the government of Jamaica, and those have been sold. So 100% of the shares of TJH are now owned by Jamaicans. If you want to purchase more shares, then you can go through your broker and they can buy the shares on the market.
Thank you very much.
And finally, just to add, we're also doing well for the shareholders as well. Our dividends increased by about 30% over last year.
Oh yes, and I'd just like to mention, thank you for that information.
Thank you, Ms. Gustav.
I'd like to mention Ms. Brown, when she was stating the figures, although they are in the book as USD, but she didn't mention if it was Jamaican dollars or USD, but I figure it was USD.
Right, so
thank you.
Right, all the numbers in the book are US dollar numbers.
Arthur Ellison.
Excuse me, sir. But go ahead, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well,
I'll wait. Not a problem.
Always believe in ladies before gentlemen.
I will bow to
And I'm
you.
not a gentleman. Thank you.
You said Mr. Ellison.
Arthur Ellison.
Ellison. Thank you, Mr.
Yes.
Ellison. Go ahead.
We've been pretty pleased, naturally, by the APO
and the rate at which it was offered, meaning that it was both an increase in what it was in what the stock price was recently. Equally, it's considerably more than the initial public offering.
Right.
Obviously, we need to be satisfied with any advance that we've made.
Right.
But you recognize that we've kind of stalled now, haven't we? There's a little while.
Price?
Beg your pardon?
You're talking about the stock price?
Yes, indeed. There's a little while ago when it was 450. Obviously, we're looking forward to it's continuing back toward that and obviously beyond. Is there anything that you're looking forward to, like an increase in dividends or other means of increasing the stock price?
Right. So as you know, Mr. Ellison, we have no control over the stock price. But I don't know how long ago you have been a shareholder, but this year, our first payment of dividends was actually 30% higher than we did last year. So as we increase our profitability, we also increase our dividends. So in October of last year, we paid dividends of approximately 7.5 million US. And in April of this year, we paid dividends of 10 million US.
Can we reasonably assume that because dividend increase really is a function of the stock price increase, that you look forward to increasing, or the other way around? Yeah, could we reasonably look forward to perhaps seeing the increases in profits that we've made be passed on to shareholders as the year runs on?
Right. So dividend is a function of how well the company does. Yeah. And the better we do, as I said earlier, is the more dividends we will pay.
Fine.
As I said, given the increase in profit last year, we increased the dividends that we paid in the first quarter of this year. And we expect that as we continue to do better, we continue to pay more dividends.
Well, with that kind of expectation, let's reasonably look forward to an increase in the stock's price. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison.
Nicola Borrelli, shareholder. What a year you've had. Wow. Not only are you moving us through the lanes, but you're also moving us up in technology. With all the technological changes, I'd like to congratulate you, not only on the performance, but that as well. I would like to say that I liked your initiative that I read on page 35, where you had Try the Highway for free campaign for 500 new customers, and then you checked in with them to see what, their sentiments are. So that's one of your innovative moves, and I would like to commend the company. As I said, in addition to all that you've been doing, I'm most impressed, especially since last year I mentioned that you needed to ramp up your advertising of your reduced toll tag offering. And I noticed that that was ramped up. So I would like to think that somehow shareholders contributed to our increased dividends as well, as you heard us.
We always, Nicola, we always do.
There's one thing I'll talk to you after the meeting, but I would like to also mention, brought it up last year, but as the new leg has not yet been operationalized, I would like to remind, I think it's Mr. Edwards, about the speed limit signage. So if that has not been looked at, since you're looking to operationalize it this year, I would like you to remember that point and have a look at. No, it's Mr. Lincoat, sorry. Yeah. So you can check with me if you don't remember, but thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicola. Any other questions?
Morning.
Morning.
I'm Douglas Wilson, shareholder. I just want to commend the company, first of all, for what I consider to be a very outstanding job. been to a few meetings of other companies, and sometimes they leave depressed. So I have to say, really and truly, you guys are doing well. I have one clarification I'm seeking, though. Did you say that you're going to put a rest stop in Portmore? But did I hear? I didn't quite.
Right. So when we did the survey, what the customers wanted was a rest stop, somewhere that they could stop and eat, get food, and buy gas. And so what has been implemented from the picture that I showed you earlier is a new gas station, and it will have both a convenience store and a quick serve restaurant in it as well, which will provide obviously the facilities for a rest stop.
All right. Well, that's my concern really. In that Portmore, to me, I'd want a more intermediate location than Portmore. So I'm just wondering about that. That's really my concern.
Right. Thanks, Douglas. So there are a number of locations along the highway that we're looking at. Looking at lands adjacent to the highway, which can provide facilities like that, maybe a gas station and a rest stop further down. And we're actually in discussions with a number of people about the possibility of acquiring lands along the highway. If there are no further questions.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm Kerry Tape, shareholder, new shareholder. I wasn't in the original. I came in the
I didn't get your
April.
name. I'm sorry.
Kerry Tape, shareholder.
Kerry Tape.
Yes. You have received a lot of accolades this morning. I like the fact that you're looking at going outside your main revenue stream, because another company who is also involved in the highway, they make a lot of their money from their, what you want to call it now, from the store beside their business. So that's a very good idea, because once you put in all the toll plazas, I don't see how you're going to generate income. I mean, there are only so much cars that can drive on the road in Jamaica. And so I'm wondering, do you have in your memorandum and articles of association any leeway as to what types of businesses you can get into? So that's my, it's not really a question, it's just a concern. You don't have to answer, because that would be proprietary knowledge going forward. Not that there's any other competitor, but I'm just wondering how you're going to increase your revenue streams going forward in the long term. Thank you.
Right. So as I mentioned earlier, there are different options that we continue to look at. We talked a little bit about the development of lands along the highway. Our indenture agreement, which is our agreement with our bondholders, the people who have loaned us money, provide some amount of restriction in terms of what can be done. And so within that scope, within those limits, we continue to look at what the opportunities are and how we can best take advantage of those opportunities. Thank you, Ms. Tape. If there are no further questions. Oh, sorry, Mr. Bloomfield.
Pleasant good morning, Lancel Bloomfield, shareholder. Mr. Chairman, page 51, note 19. What account for this massive increase in your accounting, audit, and consultancy fees from US $199,000 in 2024 to that of US $281,000 in 2025? Page 51, note 19, under admin expenses.
Which line are you referring to, Mr.
Consultants.
Under admin expenses, accounting and audit, and consultancy fees.
So, Mr. Bloomfield, in that section is where we account for all the works we do with external parties. For example, Mr. Anderson mentioned a series of strategic initiatives that we have embarked on. Before doing those initiatives, we do consult with external parties, experts in different areas. And so last year we had quite, Ms. Tate mentioned the growth we are having in the use of technology. So we had consultants working with us on some of those projects. The fees for the auditors are also captured in that category.
Accepting. Mr. Chairman, please clarify on the same page why your management fees move from 38,000 in 2024 US to that of 744,000 US in 2025.
All right, so I would say it was a reclassification of how the management fees were done in the year before. So it's not necessarily that it was a direct increase. So as you know, since the acquisition, we have merged, well, for want of a better word, merged some of our operations and our teams. So included in those numbers is the salaries of the management team of GIO, the operator, as well. The section, there is also a section there for the company. The management fees of TGH only is also represented there, but that is predominantly for the management team of the overall structure, group structure. Since the acquisition, it has seen a growth in our management cadre, because to lead and to take on the initiatives that, or to take the project to where we're taking it now, it does require management, it does require oversight, it does require a lot of work. And so we need a solid team to be able to do the work.
I hear you, but this is really substantial. This
So
is just a little under $1 million US.
I can go through with you, Mr. Bloomfield, after. I think it's how it is presented. So it's not a direct increase against the year before, it's how the cost was captured for last year.
All
So
right.
I can go through with you. I assure you it's not that we have just gone haywire and crazy. The board members are here today. Right. It's just a matter of presentation. And I can go through further with you if you so like.
It's okay.
Just one other comment, Mr. Bloomfield. Remember when we looked at the overall operating expenditures?
Right, it has gone.
They had actually declined from 2023 to 2024. So it has gone down from 22.4 to 21 million this year.
All right. Last question. What impact, if any, will the new set of shares have on our dividends payment in terms of amount paid out?
It has no impact, Mr. Bloomfield. So what happened before is that the dividends were paid to NROC as the shareholder, but now those dividends are paid to the persons who have acquired shares through the APO. So it does not affect your shareholding. You still get the same amount per share.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Mr. Bloomfield. All right, so if there are no further questions, we ask that the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2024, and the report of the directors and auditors be and are hereby adopted. May I have a mover for this resolution? Mr. Ellison. May I have a seconder? Yes, sir. Mr. Wright. The registrar has also advised that you are in seat of 14 votes of proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10.37% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution, say aye. Aye. The motion is carried. Those against? We'll now move to the second item of business, that the interim dividends of US $15 million, US $7.5 million paid on April 24th, and also 7.5 million paid on October the 24th of 2024, be and are hereby ratified and declared as final, and that no further dividend be paid in respect to the year under review. May I have a mover? Mr. Douglas. I have a seconder. Sorry, I didn't get your name. Marcia Nicole. The registrar has advised that you are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of the resolution? All against? Anybody against? The motion is carried. The next resolution is in relation to the election of directors, and we will take each of the resolutions as a separate item. That the retiring director Charles Pardy be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. May I have a mover? Mr. Ellison? I do. Seconded? I have a seconder? Ms. Booth? The registrar has advised that you are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? Anybody against? The motion is carried. Thank you. That the retiring director Ian Deere be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. May I have a mover? Clark. May I have a seconder? Thank you, Ms. Gardner. The registrar has advised that you are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? All against? The motion is carried. That the retiring director Alok Jan be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. May I have a mover? Ms. Gustav. May I have a seconder? The registrar has again advised that we are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Finally, the retiring director Nicholas Scott be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. May I have a mover? Seconder? Mr. Brown? Mr. Gordon, I'm sorry. The registrar has advised that we are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? Anyone against? The motion is carried. The fourth resolution, that the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended December the 31st, 2024, as remuneration for these services as directors, be and is hereby approved. May I have a mover? Seconder? All right. The registrar has advised that we are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? Anyone against? The motion is carried. The fifth resolution is the appointment of the auditors and their remuneration. That Ernst & Young, Chartered Accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and are hereby appointed auditors of the company to hold office until the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be agreed by the directors of the company. May I have a mover? The registrar has advised that on receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? Anyone against? The motion is carried. Sixth resolution, that Article 65 of the Articles of Incorporation of the company be amended by deleting therefrom the phrase open maker purchases and substituting therefore the phrase open market purchases. May I have a mover? Seconded? Mr. Bloomfield. The registrar has advised that you are in receipt of 14 votes by proxy in favor of this resolution, representing 10% of the issued share capital of the company. All in favor of this resolution? Anyone against? The motion is carried. I'll now welcome any other general questions and comments about the company that anyone may still have.
Yes, good morning. Carrie Tape again, shareholder. I just want to bring everyone's attention to page 55 with the energy conservation and the collection of rainwater. Just want to commend your efforts on the energy conservation drive that Jamaica is going with forth and your participation in such. But I was quite surprised at the rainwater, because I'm now taking up farming. So congratulations again. Your efforts. But I just wanted to ask, I drove past and I saw, you dig up the land and everything. The soil is, just driving on the highway and looking at the lush, everything, and just wondering, it's a tall ask, beautification, food, it's just, the land is just absolutely, when I see it turned up, it's just absolutely beautiful. And just again, thank you for your page 55 people about the energy concept and the rainwater. Very, very, very commendable.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Tape. And let me just add to Ms. Tape. So Colin, our COO, has actually been championing this cause. So just yesterday, Colin, or earlier this week, we had delivered a 500 kilowatt battery bank to our Portmore Plaza. So we have solar panels at Portmore, but at night we buy power from JPS, and during the day we sell power to JPS. But anybody who has a solar system knows that the price you pay JPS for the power is not the same price they pay you for the power that you sell to them. So what we're doing, and within the next few weeks, Colin, we should be finished, we'll implement the battery storage, the energy storage system. So all the power that we used to sell to JPS during the day, we'll use that to charge the batteries at night. And then at night, we use to charge the batteries during the day. And then at night, we'll use the power from the batteries. So hopefully we'll be totally off of JPS come the third quarter of this year. Any other questions? If not, ladies and gentlemen, as we formally close this section, thank you all for your attendance and interest, and we look forward to your continued support in the coming year. Please continue to keep safe, and we look forward to welcoming you to our AGM next year, hopefully with more profits. We'd like those of you who are here with us to remain for some light refreshment outside, and to feel free to talk to any of our directors or senior management of our company and its subsidiary. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
You will be welcomed by TG next year.
I'll ask TJ to do this next year.